with 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. Tonight I'll be hosting alongside, we've got Nick Cosgrove and Luke O'Brien with myself. How you doing, gents? You all right?
All good, DJ. All good, yeah. Happy to be here.
Just before we kick off, I'd just like you to remind you, everyone, to smash the like, subscribe button. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and we upload the live shows on Spotify as well. So make sure you go across and do that over there. So I think it's a difficult week for me. I mean, we never really seem to have a winning game or watching a winning game. I particularly didn't stay up for the game and watch it live. It was just a bit too late for my likings. But to wake up to the 21-18 scoreline, I thought was a rather surprising wake-up call. Luke, was you the same? Did you watch the game?
Yeah.
Or did you?
I watched the full game the next day. I didn't stay up for it, but what I did do was I kept the earmuffs on and off social media until I was able to watch it the next day. So I didn't know the score. I kind of went in blind, and it was like watching it live, which was great. And to be honest, it was one of those games where, after the first drive, and obviously we scored a touchdown, but it was just the manner in which they kind of drove down the field. You're like, that
felt different.
It felt different, like it did. It was like that. These lads have not. I was going to say these lads have come to play, which I feel is harsh because I feel like they've been trying the whole time. It's not a don't want to. It's just a can't from them. But this week they looked good, and that Steelers defense isn't bad. No, it's just typically we play very well against the Steelers.
But I thought the Steelers weren't up to par either. They were having their struggles as well, which I think on both sides of the field we noticed, and we could feel that from both ends of the side of the field. I mean, from my perspective, like you said, that first drive, it did feel like it was a different team. I don't know if it was the complexity of maybe of a playbook change somewhere down the line. I don't know if it's been more of a simple playbook now that Zappe's kind of taken his dominance as first QB now. But he did have a decent game. I mean, he did 19 for 28, I think it was. With 3 touchdowns and obviously that 1 interception. So I didn't particularly think he did too bad. But
he did great first half, but the second half, right, was kind of a bit concerning. I do think they kind of tried to close the game out a bit, but they really weren't able to. They really kind of let the Steelers back into it, and
correct,
fortunate to get away with it in the end.
I think it was 21-3, and then it's like you said, the second half they just kind of let their guard down and they let them come back into the game, which made it a little bit tighter than what it should have. But I mean, even like I think Zeke Elliott deserves a pat on the back for taking most of the carries by himself. I mean, he had 22 carries for 68 yards with that touchdown as well. With Stevenson out, obviously he needed to take that extra a bit of load from his perspective as well. Nick, you all right? You back on now?
Yeah, sorry about that, fellas. Just as it started, it all crashed.
No bother.
Yeah. It was one that, to be fair, that game was, that saying a game of 2 halves, because you just touched on it there, Luke. The Patriots in the first half were something different than we've seen, for weeks on end. And then it was almost like second half, it's just like, right, shut the game down completely, park the bus as they would say, and just try and get away with what they had. I mean, I thought based on what we've seen, I thought Zappe had a good game. He showed a marked improvement in the first half. Now I'm not saying that's anything special. I'm just saying based on what we've seen in the past few weeks, given what he's produced and what Max produced, it's just that's your sort of like baseline. Zappe did show improvement. The offense is. It's almost as if during that bye week, they just stripped the offense down to the complete bare bones and just ran one of these really basic, almost like high school level offenses, and they just kept it simple and moved forward. I mean, Zappe was okay. He was solid. Obviously everything he did was scripted by Bill O'Brien, but he had good pocket movement. He was thorough with his check downs. He moved through his reads. If his first one wasn't available, he moved through to his second one pretty quickly. We said that about Mac Jones, how Mac never moved through his reads. It was like, first read, it's not on. Oh, what? Oh, panic! What do I do? Go 6 yards. Zappe was moving through his reads quite well. So, yeah, I mean, improvement based on previous, but nothing special. And we got the win. So, but it was a team effort, I think.
I think one key thing to take from this as well, from my personal beliefs anyway, is like I don't think we've utilised the tight ends like we should be doing. And I think what Nick just said there, I think something did change in the playbook aspects where I think we used Hunter Henry the way Hunter Henry should be used. I think we should have been targeting way more him and Mike Gesicki, both of them, because I felt that don't really have that tight ends duo playbook anymore since Gronk and Hernandez, or Gronk and even Jonnu Smith at the time was the pass blocker. I think now that we've got Zappe behind that O-line, I think he needs the simple passes, the dinks and dunks from there and there, which I thought was a good thing for Henry to come through and score those 2 touchdowns. One of them was a dart of a ball as well, which I thought was going to get picked off and just literally went straight through the CB.
Yeah, and I think just going back to the tight ends there, I think the intention this year was to kind of use Henry as the starter and Gesicki as the backup. Now the problem is that you paid Gesicki to be a starter, like 1 year, $9.5 million. Now I know a lot of that was incentive based, and he probably won't achieve a lot of those incentives, but he's a starting level tight end in the NFL. The issue with having 2 tight end offense is that you need the threat of blocking, and Henry is an average to poor blocker at the best of times, and Mike Gesicki doesn't block at all. So when they're there, if they're both on the field at the same time, 9 times out of 10 they're both running routes, and you make what's already slow, lumbering offense even slower and more lumbering by having 2. Now Gesicki is quite a mobile tight end. Henry less so. I feel he's a bit less smooth, but he's they're still 2 good tight ends, but they're not a kind of explosive playmakers either. So I agree with you. Though in saying all that, I agree too. I feel like we could have seen them a bit more. I think having Zappe on the field instead of Mac Jones. Mac Jones has been throwing passes outside the numbers, kind of out towards the numbers and out towards sidelines, and throwing slant ins and things like that. Not tight end routes. He hasn't been thrown over the middle much. Zappe did do that. And I think whilst we scored no points against the Chargers the previous week, there just seemed to be a spark of something when Zappe was in the game. It's really weird because if you look at the stats, like looking at the stats, you would say, well, Zappe didn't move the ball against the Chargers, and he didn't. But I just felt like there was chances there that maybe we just didn't execute them all that well, and I felt like
all it took was one play to try and win the game. In that perspective,
exactly, and they couldn't make it, and they didn't deserve to make it as well because they weren't executing well. But in this game, I felt like things just started to go well for him straight from the off. I think
Bailey as well. Zappe, I think he controls the pocket more, like Nick said, like you previously said. He knows when the pressure's coming. He'll know how to control himself in the pocket, where he needs to move out of the way or not. Whilst Mac will probably struggle in that aspect. He'll see one read, two read, none there. Oh, what does he got to do? He's got to run. The other thing that I was going to mention as well, I don't know if it's more the involvement of having Hunter Henry around, was because we had a weak wide receiver core this week. I mean, we had Douglas, he was off, he was out. There was Parker was out, Butte was out. So it was very limited in the wide receiving core. Now, Juju mainly was probably the best core WR we had. And he came up. I mean, he did, 4 receptions for 90 yards, which for him is massive. It's probably the best he's had all year. I think
Juju's been playing better. I would say the second half of the year, he's definitely. I know Parker's been out, but he's definitely kind of supplanted Parker as the number. I don't want to say your typical number one receiver because Pop Douglas is the number one receiver, but I think Juju is kind of overtaken him really in that sense. Nick, I think you had a point there.
I don't get why it took so long to change from Mac to Bailey Zappe anyway. You know, we saw this disaster months ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. I mean, it seemed an eternity since we were in Frankfurt, and that was only what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know. And we were calling then for Zappe to, you know, be playing, and he came in for like the last 2 minutes, but he should have been playing for a few weeks before then. It astounds me that Mac managed to stay in as long as he did. He wasn't performing. He wasn't doing anything that actually validated his existence in the position of starting QB. I'm not saying Zappe was much better, but surely it warranted an attempt to a change. But you know, that's by the by.
It probably boils down to, I don't think Zappe's any better. That was probably what they were thinking at the time. They had Mac, Zappe, but they were on a very similar level. No one stood out from the other. So I reckon they said, right, let's go to the bye, go to the Giants game, give Mac the chance to win the game. He couldn't do it, and then for me that was it. It was game over for him.
What's the saying about doing the same thing and expecting something different? You know, if Mac wasn't working, and all right, whether Zappe is as good or not as good as Mac, if it's not working with Mac Jones, keep putting Mac Jones out there isn't going to help the situation. You know, just nothing's going to change. But you know, it's been. I'm not saying Zappe's the hero and he's going to. You know, we're going to go on a run and we're going to win the rest of our games, because we're not. I don't expect us to win another game this season. That's just my opinion. But it boggles the mind to think that Zappe didn't get in early.
I think Nick and DJ, if it's all right to speak free, I don't think any of us are saying Zappe is the the next guy up or anything like that. He's just marginally better than Mac Jones, and that's all we're saying. Is that he's better. He's not good. The bar is still so low to the ground, but this guy is you watch him. And I think, like you were kind of saying there earlier, DJ, his ability to move, it might have been Nick, sorry, apologies, guys. His ability to move in the pocket and step up whilst keeping his eyes downfield. Before, what was happening is the two ends were just kind of converging on Mac Jones. And yeah, we had problems with the O-line, absolutely, towards the start of the year. But sacks as well can be on the quarterback. You saw it a lot in late Seahawks tenure, Russell Wilson. He was getting sacked all over the place. But if you actually watched him, what was happening is he was just standing back there, or he was trying to move. He was moving the wrong way into pressure. Whereas Mac Jones was taking his drop and standing there and not moving up in the pocket and keeping his eyes downfield. Whereas you watch Zappe and you see the pressure coming. He sees the pressure coming, and it's just a step or two. He just takes a step or two up, or step two left or right, and that's all you need. Brady did it.
He just feels the pressure where it is, and he'll just go around the other way. So it's something what Brady used to love doing, like control the pocket. That's what make a good pocket passer is. But
exactly that is key to being a pocket passer. Is you don't tuck it and run when there's trouble. He also throws the ball away a bit and not into danger. No, sorry, he makes bad throws, don't get me wrong. There's a few that he should have been picked off, but when there's nothing on,
just throw it away. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Nothing on, ball's gone.
Don't need to take a sack or just throw it anywhere.
And I think the offensive line. Sorry, Nick.
I was just going to say the pocket itself has actually seen some improvement because, Cole Strange over the last couple of weeks has improved. He started off the season injured, and he was in and he was out, and he was, niggles here, niggles there, just a bit of inconsistency. And then as we got into sort of weeks sort of six and seven, Cole Strange just sort of had a brain fart where he just started making silly mistakes. But he's got into a rhythm now where he's started to play better and a bit more solid and, blocking how he should do. And Onwenu at right tackle for the last few weeks has been a consistency as well.
So the last 7 weeks.
So
last 7 weeks he's had 2 sacks.
I think those two.
One QB here.
Yeah, those two have contributed to a solid pocket in recent weeks, and I think that has helped whoever, in Zappe's case now, it's helped him to have a more reliable pocket to stand in because he's got the guys in front of him that are creating that pocket are essentially in a slightly better reign of form.
I think what's strange though, I think he's stopped being a problem rather than actually playing well. He's still weak. He's still a weak link in that offensive line. I think he's borderline being outplayed by City So, which he shouldn't be, but he
Who's
is.
That, sorry?
He's being outplayed by City So.
Who? Oh, Strange.
Stranges, yeah. He's a first-round pick who's now in his second year, nearly 2 full years in, and a rookie right guard who's converted over from right tackle because that's what So was in college. Now he was projected as a guard in the NFL because of his size and shape, but still, he shouldn't. Excuse me.
I think Brown to me is that weakest link in that O-line.
Trent Brown, when he's motivated, he's fine. He's fine. He has to go next year. Has to.
Yeah, I think
because his attitude, and there's clearly a problem there because Conor McDermott has started the last 2 games, and after about a series or 2, Trent Brown has lumbered back out onto the field. I think Trent Brown, when everything's going the right way, he's a really good left tackle. He's a border. I don't want to say top 10. He's not top 10, but he's kind of in and around that 10
Used to be, yeah.
area when he's motivated and playing well. When things are in a team like this, he's one of those guys that's just, and you hear it from the writers and things like that. People they don't say it explicitly, but a lot of writers and people that cover the team, they don't really talk favorably about him and his attitude whilst not actually explicitly stating anything. But there's no smoke without fire there, you know. They don't go around talking about, oh, look, Mike O'Menu is not playing well, or Devon Godshaw has been playing well, or anything like that. When, you know, we were struggling to stop the run last year, you know, there was nobody talking about his bad attitude, but Trent Brown constantly seems to come up with it.
I mean, whilst we're on the subject of Trent Brown, I mean, I don't know if it's been breaking news in the last couple of hours or so, but Malik Cunningham, he's been signed off our practice squad by the Ravens. And he seems to have submitted a controversial quote, which I think you can take it both ways. Either it's a very good personal message to Cunningham, or you can take it as in having a dig at the Patriots or having a dig at someone from the Patriots industry, where he's quoted in saying something like in the lines of, it's good to see that you need to be respected in
your
what you do, or talent.
Or your talents are respected, I think.
I.e. as in, we're not using him to use his best abilities talent-wise. But, I mean, look, he's an undrafted rookie. I mean, you can't expect Lamar, you know. So
he's not Lamar like at all. Like,
no, he fits in that scheme. Don't get me wrong. I think he fits well in that what he does. But I think he just took it a dig.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. He just seems to. He's past remarkable, I think, is the kind of term you'd use from, you know, any chance he can to take a dig when things aren't going right, or put something out there and let his feelings be known, that when he's a bit disgruntled, he'll do that. Anybody ever think he kind of looks like a bit of a man-child? He's really kind of like baby face looking him, and then you look at him, he's 6'9", 400 pound guy. He's this squidgy little face, just want to kind of go boo. Or he looks like a turtle.
I don't get the move. I don't get the move itself anyway, because the Ravens have already had 3 QBs on their roster. 4 QBs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You know, and they've had to sign him to their 53 to get him off our practice squad. So what? Are they signing him as a wide receiver? I don't get where the move's coming from. He surely is not going to help their cause right now. So it's like,
I don't get it.
I don't understand the move itself, unless it's a future next season thing.
I think it could be that, and I think because there's, and I really want to emphasize this, that they're similar in style, not talent, between Lamar and Malik. They come from the same system. They're used to those types of things.
They're at the same Louisville, weren't it?
They're both at Louisville, yeah. And any pro Malik Cunningham person will tell you he broke all Lamar Jackson's records, don't you know?
Yeah.
And do you know the reason why he broke them? Because he played 2 more seasons than Lamar Jackson did at Louisville. So, you know, we would have probably broke his records if we played.
It might be a case what Nick's just said, like it might be planning for next year to sit behind Lamar for a couple seasons and see.
I think it's just to run scout, you know. Yeah. Like and bring a guy into your system that runs a similar off, that knows how to run that offense, and that's kind of that's his bread and butter. Like I don't think there's too much to it other than that. I could be wrong. They could be booming him to be the backup. Maybe they just want to bring him in and see what he has. You know. I
mean, I suppose he could, on the scout team. He could be a reasonable dummy for Mahomes. He could be a reasonable dummy for Hurts. You know, I suppose those aspects are there. But, you know, I will say, and I do say it at every opportunity that I get, we could have had Lamar Jackson.
We could have. And every time you say it, I go,
Just saying.
I agree. And I nod my head and I go, 100% right. And I'd have loved to have him because he is everything you want from a quarterback. Everything.
Yeah. But he doesn't
We
fit
could
our
have had
Patriots
that,
way, though. Not the way Bill wants to have a QB.
You build your team around him. Exactly what the Ravens did. They went out and they said, we need good offensive line, we need great tight end, and we're going to get Patrick Ricard, a big 300-pound defensive tackle, and stick him in at fullback, and just this is how we're going to go. You know.
Maybe the Ravens signed Cunningham for our playbook. Maybe they want a bit of insight in our playbook.
If I was going to sign somebody off a team, it would not be for this playbook.
Because we know our plays have been absolutely excellent this year. You know, we've been leading, we've been top quality in our play performance. God, everyone must want our playbook.
Yeah. I think to be fair, just kind of looking at the Ravens roster, so they have Jackson, they have Huntley as the number 2, they have Josh Johnson as the third choice, who I thought honestly was out of the league. I wonder they just bringing in Cunningham to see would he be an improvement on Josh Johnson as the third choice. Josh Johnson has been around, I feel like, forever. He's 37 years old. So he has been around forever. He's ancient because he's old.
Probably just compete for backup, like you say.
Yeah. And I think it could be a case where they just move Josh Johnson down to the practice squad. There's no way they'll have 4 quarterbacks on at the weekend. No way. Like, so they're, yeah, I think that's kind of, I think we spent a lot more time on this than we probably warrants, you know.
Yeah.
I'll move us on.
It is an interesting topic.
Yeah, I'll move us on. We as the Patriots lost wide receivers coach Ross Douglas this last week. He's left our coaching staff with immediate effect to take up the same role with Syracuse University. Now, as I understand it from what I've read, Ross Douglas was a wide receivers coach at Rutgers when Fran Brown was head coach, and he's now head coach at Syracuse University. So I think he's just gone there with the sort of thing. But so he left the Patriots.
Wide receivers coach, because I saw that he's listed as wide receivers coach, but also Troy Brown is the wide receivers coach as well. So was Ross Douglas the assistant wide receivers coach? But he's been with the Patriots for a bit, you know. I mean, like
3 years, I think.
3 years, yeah. So were they both kind of combined, or was he assisting him? And it's a bit more of a.
He's listed as wide receivers. That's all.
But yeah, no, you're right, because I thought the same. Do you know what I'll do? Let me hold please. I will go on.
Hold please. Well, while you're doing that, did anyone see Pat McAfee's comments on Saturday? That's the
that he spoke to Kraft.
Yeah, Kraft was having an interview. Let me get the quote up so that I get it right.
We don't want to be in your situation.
Yeah, so
we're going to have a difficult one or something like that. But we've got to do it.
Yeah, he said that Kraft said that they needed to that we like to win and we must do everything we can to get back winning. And Pat McAfee says, "I don't envy your position. What's about to happen, we all know. We don't have to ask." Now, that was on the live broadcast, and then they threw it to an advert break. But if you go on the YouTube and you go on the YouTube version of that interview, they've cut that clip out of the interview. It's not on there. So it literally, they've literally wiped Pat McAfee's comment. Now, Pat McAfee's come out and said that he was talking about the fact that, everyone can see what the issues are with the Patriots and, what the Patriots need to do to fix them. He wasn't, he wasn't saying about the coach himself, but obviously that's what was implied at the time. And I think ESPN aren't commenting, and they were, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but like to be fair, like fair play for asking the question, or for not even the question, but kind of saying it. It's I'm not sure if he fully. It's one of those things sometimes with Pat, stuff kind of comes out, and I'm not really sure he's kind of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but
he tends another way. But
he definitely was walking it back on his show on Monday. Just to close out on Mr. Ross Douglas. So he is, as you were saying quite rightly, Nick, he's listed as wide receivers coach, as is Troy Brown. But Ross Douglas is on the wide receivers coach / NFL coaching fellowship. So I think that is where there's like I want to say it's kind of like a program almost that places coaches on teams, and I think
that's what Phoebe Schechter did. That's how Phoebe Schechter got her chance at the Bills. She went through the international coaching pathway program and through the fellowship.
Yes,
and that's where she got.
I think
obviously not placed at the Bills when Josh Allen came through as a rookie.
I think he's
gone to Syracuse. So.
Yeah, but no, it might, because Troy Brown is the wide receivers coach and he is part of the fellowship, that he kind of was like, right, this I get to go and actually be the wide receivers coach somewhere else now. So look, fair play to him. Thank you for your service. But anybody that was involved with the wide receivers anybody in the last few seasons, I would be more than happy to see them walk away from the team, because we haven't developed any wide receivers. They've had no talent to work with, but I kind of don't want, if we're flipping over the team this year, I kind of don't want to see anybody that was involved with wide receivers for the last few years involved with the wide receivers going forward.
That's actually a really good point you make, because I have something sitting at the back of my head. There's all this talk about whether Bill goes and whether he should. I'm not going to get involved with whether he should have said like this, but Gerard Mayo seems to be the favourite to replace him. Mike Vrabel gets talked about and whatever else, but Gerard Mayo seems to be the one who's touted to replace him. Now, there is no doubt that between Bill Belichick, Gerard Mayo, and Steve Belichick, that defense that we've got, I mean, we're number one in run defense, but in general, we're an absolute awesome defense. But do you really want to give Gerard Mayo the reins when it's in an absolute state like this to a first time coach? Really, you almost do want someone like Vrabel, who's got head coaching experience, to start the rebuild, rather than giving it to someone who's got no head coach. I'm not saying Gerard Mayo doesn't deserve it. He kind of does. And I think he has been groomed to be that replacement. But it's just that niggle in the back of my mind that, this job too big for essentially an inexperienced head coach. I know Carl talks about Ben Johnson from Detroit. I wouldn't want to. I'm not saying he's a great OC, but I'd be very reluctant to give this rebuild to anybody who doesn't have, experience, because I think it's just such a big job.
Sorry,
go.
You go.
I kind of think that the way I look at Gerard Mayo is, as he's if you were to get rid of Bill, and when I say, I mean, you get rid of, if you're saying to Bill, we don't want you anymore, Bill, rather than Bill walking away, we'll say, right? Just assuming that that's an option. I can't see him doing that. But do you want somebody from the old regime, that will effectively, I'm kind of assuming here, will run things and do things with the same philosophies and the same, effectively, I think, like having Bill there without Bill being there. You're going to run the same offense. You're going to go, like, if Gerard is promoted to head coach, if Bill O'Brien doesn't stick around, okay, Troy Brown or Nick Haley, now you're my offensive coordinator. Are they going to bring in bring the offense into 2024? Or are they going to keep running the same scheme we've been running for the last 20-25 years? That's, even though at the same point, I think Gerard Mayo is the kind of personality and person that you would want to be running your franchise. I think he's kind of got that, like apparently, just listening to a few of the beat writers, they absolutely, the defensive players absolutely love Gerard Mayo. Like, they love him. And that was always the case as well when he was a player. He was extremely well liked. He was called, it was little Belichick or mini Belichick. And it was the same with Dante Hightower. Yeah, I think he had a similar kind of nickname. But he was just a consummate professional. To answer your question, Nick, like, would it be too big for him? I suppose there's only one way to find out. I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer. But I'd be against bringing in somebody that I don't want to say has failed, because I don't think Vrabel's fully failed. I think he was handed core talent in Tennessee to a point, and they were the only team running an offense that was probably in the darker ages than the Patriots offense, in that it was a run-first offense, and they were the only team in the whole power run offense. Sorry, because I know if you want to split hairs, they were Kyle Shanahan's system is based on the run, blah, blah, blah. But, they're running a power run scheme. How much was that Vrabel going, that's what I want to do? Or was it he was saddled with Derrick Henry, the poor guy. But this is your guy, and we're going to give you a mediocre quarterback to win. Did he want that, or would he see his philosophy as, no, I need a superstar offensive coordinator, we need a good quarterback, or do you want some guy that's failed somewhere? Probably, because if they're available, they've probably failed as experienced head coach, like somebody like Dan Quinn. Would you want Dan Quinn in, who's a failed head coach that is up for, he's coming back around again? Is that somebody that you'd want? And I don't mean Dan Quinn specifically, because but that type of guy, not just Vrabel.
Yeah, I mean, I get the point's been making. I mean, Mayo, like you say, he does deserve a shot at being a head coach, but I personally still feel we shouldn't be going defensive minded for that type of remaking that we need to do. I reckon the defense is in a good position at the moment as it is. I think the way Mayo and even probably Bill Son has set that defense up, even versus the Steelers, they've played phenomenal. I thought they played fairly decent, even though they did concede quite a fair bit of points in the last quarter or so, but they still kept their guards. They still, the mix with Peppers and Dogger, I still think those two safeties back there are dominant force. So I think, don't get me wrong, it's going to take easy 3 to 4 years for this offense to start to even feel like clicking again. I think you can't expect us to go into the next season and having a massive draft, signing free agents left, right, and centre, and think, oh, we're going to go Super Bowl next year. It's just not going to be like that. And whoever's going to determine to do that, I think needs to be an offensive line. And I don't want to put Mayo in that position where they're going to expect something really quick turnaround, because what he's done on the D. We all know what Boston's media are like. They'll just hammer him. I don't know. Ben Johnson, I still think he's done all right, but I don't know. I'm not sold on it. I just don't know who else is out there at the moment that can come in and start a rebuild.
I think that if you're getting, I suppose, if you're getting rid of Belichick, and we'll say all the disciples, right, are gone, we'll say that you're cleaning house. I think you have to go with an offensive-minded guy, just simply because what seems to happen is if a defensive guy gets a head coach and they hire a superstar young offensive coordinator, that offensive coordinator in a year or two is up for a head coaching job, and then you lose him, and then which great, but not great for your quarterback, not great for your offense, because you got to hire another guy and you got to keep churning and churning. You get the offensive coordinator in as your head coach, and then you get him to hire an experienced defensive coordinator, and you just kind of hand the keys to him and go, there you go. Don't bother me. You run the defense, I'll run the offense. And I think that's kind of how it's kind of worked. If you look at like the way McVay had Wade Phillips very early on in when he was at the Rams, Mike McCarthy has Dan Quinn with the Cowboys, and it just, and even Mike McDaniel has Vic Fangio. These are some of the best team. Well, obviously Wade Phillips is gone now, and the Rams aren't what they were, but that was the model that won a Super Bowl. You now have the Cowboys looking, I want to say, better than any of the other Cowboys teams in the last few years. And you also have, apart from the other night, where the guy that I was just trashing, the Titans just beat the Dolphins. But
yeah, they do.
But yeah, anyway, look, I think you know my point. I could keep making it, but I think you get it.
Right, so we'll move on. So week 14 is in the books with a win. Going on to now week 15, where we are at home to the Kansas City Chiefs. We all know what happened in the Chiefs game last week. Mahomes decided to go off on one on the refs, but I mean, taking away that they are struggling. The Chiefs are definitely got their own struggles as well. But do we even have a chance to even have a whiff at this game, or what?
No, but we won't. It won't be.
I mean,
like
40 Mahomes blew a gasket. You hope.
Yeah,
Mahomes blew a gasket because of obviously that play got called back, but they had every right to. They were right to call that play back. If you see the line, you see that blue line, and Tony's foot's right on the line. You can't see the ball because his actual helmet blocks the sight of the ball, and his helmet, you can see clear as day. He's a good yard in front of the line of scrimmage, and it's like, well, you can have a go at the refs as much as you want, but as soon as you get off the field and you actually see that footage, you owe somebody an apology. You can blow your gasket as much as you want, mate, but you're wrong.
There's only
simple.
two.
So same.
Sorry, Nick. There was only two people that thought that was a bad call, and it's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Everybody else is like, is it ticky-tacky? Yes. Did he break the rule and it should have been called back? Yes. It's like if you're watching soccer and, they get the line out, you know, for VAR, and you see a guy's like the tip of a guy's finger is offside, and you go, oh Jesus, you know, he's off. It's like it's only the finger. Well, where do you draw the line? You know, do you draw? Oh, he's only a small, like it's only a small bit. Okay, well, where does a small bit become not offside or offside? Do you know what I mean? Like, where do you draw the line? So you have to draw the line at if any of them's offside, he's offside. Sorry, maybe
they're looking at changing that rule.
Maybe
No, I mean it's.
Won't get into that. Maybe the Chiefs need to learn how to line up on side, D forward. You know, maybe it's on you guys. You know, you're the only team that seem to be having stuff. You know, it's your own fault.
It's like Andy Reid said, I didn't get a warning. Nobody told me. Well, no, nobody is supposed to tell you.
What am I going to tell you for?
Yeah. I want a warning that I'm breaking the rules before I actually get told I'm breaking the rules.
One point, right, that I learned this as somebody that's had to do an American football refereeing course before, and I have reffed a game as a sideline judge. And do you know when the wide receiver, you know, will look down the line and look at the side judge and tap his helmet to indicate if he's on side or not. The referee can tell them, obviously, you know, you're onside or offside, but they're actually under no obligation to tell the player that if they're onside or offside. They don't have to do it. They can tap the helmet and the referee can kind of go, you know, they will usually tell you if you're on or off, but like wide receivers lining up offside. I'm sorry.
Didn't even ask.
Like, exactly. You can't. He should have tapped the helmet. Yeah, and the referee, 99 times out of 100 will say you're on or off. But at the end of the day, lining up onside is on the receiver. I would not expect that of any players that I've played with or coached. If they did that, you'd yank them. I'm sure you'd have done the same, Nick. You know, if it would, like as a left tackle, if you saw one of your wide receivers lining up offside, you'd be shouting out the head coach to get him off the field if you can't line up right. It's bad enough when guys, you know, a wide receiver covers up the line, you know, and lines up in the wrong position, but sometimes you go, that's slightly understandable. But anyway.
Are we on prime time or we're not?
No, we were flexed out.
Oh yeah, this is the one we're flexed, yeah. That's true.
Yeah, because I thought we were Monday night football, and I was like, no, we're not. It's Sunday. No, I'm sure we're Monday night. And I, you know, while you disappeared earlier, and I said to him, where are we supposed to be Monday night? And he went, yeah, we got flexed out. And I was like,
that's true.
So,
yeah.
Sunday at 6.
I expect us to lose. I don't think it, you know, I agree with Luke. I don't think it will be 45-0. But, you know,
44.
45-2.
I honestly don't see another win this season. I didn't even see the Steelers win, so, you know, what do I know? While we're on a rant, goddamn Jets. What are the Jets doing beating the Texans? That screwed I had a 6-team accumulator that all came in apart from the Jets beating the Texans. On what planet do the Jets beat the Texans?
Early.
There was a lot of weird results last week. I pick the games every week for Jersey Holic. Follow us on Instagram.
Wow.
Who's going to stop me? And you know, like I mark myself out of, you know, whatever amount of games each week, and oh man, there was a lot of weird results last week. A lot of weird results.
I think I read a stat where it said week 14 it broke a record or something, saying the most underdog teams actually won that week.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
Because I'm fairly vanilla with my picks. I just be like favorite, maybe the odd
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Like, okay.
I mean, I had the Browns, I had the Bucks, I had the 49ers. I chose because I chose the Cowboys over the Eagles
Patriots.
just because of the fact that they were at home and they were in form. I didn't have the Patriots, but I didn't pick the Patriots.
Wow.
But I was like, so I had 6 teams. Now, in truth, I say I had 5 out of 6. I didn't. I had 4 out of 5, and the 6th one would have been the Dolphins, who lost anyway. So I guess I probably should let the Jets off. But at the point before that, the Jets had screwed it up anyway. So what the Dolphins did is irrelevant. But I was just it was so anyway. I hadn't picked the Jets, but going back to week 15 because week 14 is in the book. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I think the Chiefs are going to win 24-9. I have no hope.
No, I think it'll be
24-10 maybe.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right. Like 27-13 or something like that. We'll get a touchdown and 2 field goals, but fine. I'm kind of all right with that, as long as we don't get like to 0, or if we get a touchdown, I kind of, and maybe another. If we got 10 points, I'd be happy, and that just shows you how low the bar is.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I don't see us scoring more than 2 touchdowns. I reckon a touchdown, maybe a field goal. I can see them.
Chiefs' defense has been really good this year. Like really good.
See them maybe getting 24, 27, 28 against us.
Yeah, I think so.
Easy.
And they haven't been great either, but they're still good. Like,
I think we might have a chance if we can kind of like contain Kelsey. I think he's probably their strongest point at the moment. What pisses me off is every time Kelsey grabs the ball, they go and fucking see Taylor Swift on the bloody John Button. Just pees me off every game, every time.
There's nothing wrong with Taylor Swift. Last thing we need is her fans coming after us. You've few enough viewers as it is. We don't need Taylor Swift fans.
I can slag her off, so we get all her friends on here, so then they can comment back.
They'll view, and then they'll be waiting.
Don't need the Swifties.
We'll be the Swifties.
To check to see if they're outside.
Don't need the Swifties coming.
They're going to go to Ireland, don't worry.
Yeah. Where I am out with the sticks.
I don't mind. I don't mind the odd Tay song, to be fair. So, I kind of like her stuff.
I prefer Taylor Swift than having to see Brittany Mahomes anyway. Any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Very true. It's what's it? The other one, Jackson Mahomes. He does my head.
That's the brother, isn't it?
Jackson Mahomes, his brother.
Yeah.
Does my head in something chronic. He's so obnoxious. It's like it's your brother that's good, not you.
Being. I'm obnoxious too. He's a bad human being that only bad things should happen to.
So just quickly going back to the remaining games that we've got. So we've got the Chiefs this week. Then we've got to go to the Broncos, which Broncos are coming on a high at the moment. I reckon Peyton's now establishing himself quite well there, and I can't see us going to Mile High and winning that. We've then got to go with the Bills as well. That's true, yeah. We struggle. I don't know if it's because of the oxygen levels or because it's too high. I don't know. We've then got to go to Bills, which they're hit and miss at the moment. We've already done them once in the first part of the schedule.
Doing them again.
No. And then we've got the Jets, which we don't know what's going on with the Jets. They're quite hit and miss as well. So, like Luke says, like Nick said before, we might not get another win. We might just close off at like.
I feel like saw a bit of something from the offense in terms of like the defense kept it up and played to the best of their ability. We'll just say they're not going to shut teams down. You can't really shut teams down in today's NFL. Like good offenses, we were able to shut down the Giants because they're shite offense. And, you know, the Chargers haven't been great either. But if we are able to show, like, you know, Demario Douglas comes back from his concussion and he looks good, and he looks like somebody that you could be part of next season. You see maybe Juju Smith-Schuster kind of going, all right, we don't need to punt him out the window next year. You know, he actually looks like he mightn't be ideal, and he might be on way too much money for the production that you get. But do you know what? He's fine. He'll be the third wide receiver, and you add somebody on top of him. You know that the whole kind of that effect of adding another guy on top, and then suddenly he'll start getting open more because he's seeing worse coverage. You know, trickle down effects. There you go. That's it. You know, just seeing something out of guys that are still going to be on the team, that are under contract for next year. I'm less concerned about seeing like throws to Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. I doubt they'll be back. Parker, I kind of want to see phased out because I don't think he's got it anymore. I've been more intrigued by Juju this year than him, even though again Juju has been poor, but I feel like he's trending in the right direction. Yeah, I just kind of want to see us a little something from the offense. That's all.
Nick, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I guess, you know, just touching back on those games, Belichick never loses to the Jets, so maybe that is our one, and it's at home as well. So maybe that is the one more win in the locker that we have to work for.
Or it could be the nail in the coffin one.
I just think I'm ready to turn the page now. It's, you know, I can accept defeat as much as the next person. I've said it before. You know, I've seen defeats in my lifetime that I can't possibly, you know, as the saying goes, I was at York away. I wasn't at York away, but that is the famous saying with City fans. I was at York away. I wasn't at York away. But
Broadhall way, was it?
It was a defeat. It was a defeat to York. But you know, I just think that now I'm at that point now where I'm ready to just see the season finish and let's turn the page and go again. So yeah, providing it. I think anyone who wants to play for the Patriots, anyone, you know, you expect everyone to put in their effort and whatever else, and those that are playing for contracts, whether it's going to be with the Patriots or whether it's going to be with somebody else, you would expect them to put the effort in and play for the contract they want. So, you know, I just think the Patriots need to take a look at themselves in the mirror, put the effort in, and don't be embarrassed, and see the season out sensibly. Obviously, don't go winning stupidly because that affects us. But you know, look at yourself in the mirror. Look at yourself in the mirror. Respect yourself. Respect your teammates. Go out, put the effort in, and just turn up and have a good go. That's all. That's all we can really ask for. But like you said, Chiefs no, Bills no, Broncos at Mile High no. You know, maybe at the beginning of the season, possibly, but not now. So I think the only possible win on the horizon is the Jets, which is the last game of the season. So yeah, there you go.
All right, I think it'll be a good time to now close off. Like I said before, early on, you can hit the subscribe button on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, Twitter, and Facebook. You can rewatch all of our shows there on any social media platform. What else can we say? I mean, we're going to carry on watching the Patriots. We'll probably tune in to watch the Chiefs probably destroy us, but as long as we show out some heart and we try and gain some more victory, then that's all we can ask for at this moment in time. So thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back next week. We'll tune in next week to probably discuss the Chiefs game, and then we'll look at a preview versus the Broncos game, which is the following week after that. So thanks for joining. Have a good night, everyone. Cheers, lads, for joining us. Hopefully next week Carl will be here as well. You all stay safe, take care, and good night.
No worries.
Good luck.
Later.